Hey, bros.
Hey,
Hey,
buddy.
All right. Welcome back, our audience, to episode, what's this, 4 now? 4, right?
Yep,
Of
something
Yeah,
like
correct.
that.
Yeah.
Toast and a Bunny. So, for those of you who are listening, we are not all together in a meeting room or a studio today. We're on break. So, I'm Paul Hine with my co hosts here, Ben and Braden Karen, and Drew Hamilton. Um, so, hopefully, the audio works out. Right now, we are on a stream, and hopefully, my phone picks up the audio because otherwise, uh, you guys are only going to hear me and not the rest of them talk. So hopefully, we got this set up right. Um, so, what do you guys want to talk about for the first thing today? We were going to talk about March Madness, John Morant, NFL free agents, and the World Baseball Classic.
You want to get us started with John Morant?
Yeah, let's do John Morant. And I want to talk about kind of like the PR angle, but let's just go over like there were two different incidents, two different stories involving John Morant. Let's go over what they were for those who don't know. So the first one was there was a lawsuit filed against John Morant recently, where a 17-year-old claimed that in a pickup game at John Morant's house, he threatened to shoot him and also physically assaulted him multiple times during game.
Punch-
Punching him in the face.
Like 20
Punched him in the
times or
face.
something, right? 10
Yeah,
times.
punched him in the face. I think it was 12 or 13 times during the game, and this was after Morant said that supposedly the kid threw the ball at him really hard and
At his like face or something.
charged him, and then he struck him. So that's the first story, and there's the lawsuit around that. And then a few days later, a story came out. Well, it was actually a video came out of John Morant flashing a gun at a nightclub in Colorado. So I know you guys all saw this. What was your initial reaction to either story or both stories?
Pretty wild, I guess I would say. Obviously from a John Morant standpoint, it doesn't look good. This is a guy who's becoming one of your faces of the league. I think the Grizzlies are handling this properly. They've indefinitely suspended him as the league, and I'm sure they investigate this situation. So we'll see where it all goes from here. But not a good look for him, and he's got some growing up to do, obviously.
The whole team, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, the suspension was indefinitely. I saw that it was 4 games.
Well, it's gonna be
It's
indefinite. They're not
Yeah,
gonna
'cause they're
bring
gonna
him
need to
back.
investigate, and that's gonna take time.
The police department already investigated. Do you think the NBA will do
Yeah,
that?
the NBA will probably have
NBA will definitely do a separate investigation.
Right.
because
So-
yeah, like Cammy said, bro, that's one of the face of the franchise, like players.
Face of the league.
So, like,
So
well, franchise player in the league.
let me find. I've read a couple articles about. So the Shelby County District Attorney's Office did not press charges, telling the Washington Post there was not enough evidence to proceed with the case, and the Grizzlies haven't commented on the incident other than suspending him. Which, I mean, honestly, from like a PR standpoint, I don't know why, as a team, you wouldn't comment on your star player having 2 very bad PR incidents. You know,
I mean,
Kinda
I
like-
would say like what
Kinda-
would they comment? They're just gonna be like, all right, yeah, like this guy obviously has some growing up to do. He needs to mature.
well, yeah, like
We're just suspending him. That's it. Like we kind of already know that.
You know, you have to like put the message out there that we're handling it. You know, like think about what the Browns did with Deshaun Watson, where they made him go to like training and stuff, like therapy and stuff, right?
Well, this was after. I don't mean to cut you off, but this was after a long-term investigation. The Grizzlies are gonna let this play out. Obviously, there was a criminal investigation, right, to the whole gun thing with him toting the gun.
Right.
So, like, they gotta let that play out, and then they have to just let the NBA investigation play out before they're gonna comment. Because you don't want to alienate John Morant by saying, "Oh, he's a bad person," but also you don't want to be like in a situation where like you totally defend him. So like from their standpoint, being neutral at this point is the best thing until you can figure out what's going on because this
Yeah,
is
let all the
obviously a
facts come
legal
out.
problem.
Yeah, well, okay. So just to go back to the part you said about the criminal investigation. So for the latest incident, the one with the gun at the club, the Glendale Police Department in Colorado announced that it had concluded in its investigation into the incident and wasn't charging anyone with a crime because they didn't get there. No disturbances were reported, and no citizens or patrons of the club came forward to make a complaint. And the night in question, they did not receive any calls for service at the nightclub regarding a weapon of any type, even though there was the video. And those are direct quotes from an article on Fox News. So, I mean, with the criminal investigations being over and him not being like in legal trouble, do you think the league is going to choose to investigate too, or no? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
just
I think the league should do its own investigation just because, like, his charges criminally, like with the justice system, is going to be. I mean, the league isn't going to arrest him. You know, like he's going to get suspended or whatever. So the league has to do their own stuff because they're not having the same charges as like a police department would have.
there were no charges. So, you think there'll be like a fine? You know, like a fine. For,
I
like,
mean, I think he should be suspended. You pulled a gun out on a 17-year-old after punching him in the face. Like,
Yeah.
he should be arrested. He wants to act like a thug, you know, he can go to prison.
that's a minor.
I've heard rumor of the NBA wants to kind of send a message with this. Maybe suspend him until the playoffs or suspend him like a good portion of the rest of this year. There's only about like 30 games left. So like I think a 30-game suspension would make sense. It would hurt the team obviously, but they haven't been playing too well without him and they've been injured as it is. So I mean, yeah, I mean, you gotta have some accountability for this type of situation.
Absolutely.
This is serious. And then I believe there's like another incident earlier, like he punched a mall cop or something like that, or
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
got
sure
an
if I'm getting
altercation
that
at the
right.
mall.
Yeah, I mean, like
That's a
this is a problem. This is a problem. Like you gotta stop. So
He
like,
needs some type of consequence. Like, this is just
Yeah.
kind of proving that, like, if you have money and fame and influence, like, that you can get away with type of stuff like this. And I think, like, the league needs to send a message. If you want to act like this and portray yourself like that, there's no room for that in the league.
Yeah, and it's definitely a pattern with him. You know, with at least 2, if not 3. You know, the mall was a rumor, but you know, if that's true, that's 3 incidents, and you know, it for sure. Like he needs to have consequences to learn from his actions, because otherwise,
He's just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, and the thing about him too is like it's not even just him at this point. Like it's starting to like reflect on like the Grizzlies too. Like with Dylan Brooks and stuff being a dirty player and like talking all kinds of shit, and like the Grizzlies like really just thinking they're the top dog team. But like I don't know, like they all need to be humbled.
Yeah, it adds to your team culture for sure. You
Yeah.
know,
It's just very negative.
and you know, like new players coming into that team will think like, oh, like this type of stuff is okay here. You know, if Ja can get away, like Ja, like the star, can get away with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
When that really shouldn't be the case in any organization. Never mind, you know, a professional basketball team. So
I agree.
I honestly hope he gets suspended for more than he is now. It would be a total of 6 games if the suspension ended at the 4 additional games that got added yesterday. But yeah, I mean, you know, for the league, I mean, they have to assume that he's innocent until proven guilty, because he was proven not guilty in a court of law. So I wonder what their investigation will do different from the police departments in each case. You know, like how will the league treat their investigation? Have you guys seen I don't follow the NBA as much as all three of you do. Have you guys seen this type of an investigation recently, or something that we can kind of compare it to?
I mean, not recently, but I remember there was like a thing that happened with Gilbert Arenas where he pulled a gun out on a teammate in the locker room.
Yeah,
Like something like, I mean, but
And what-
that
this was a
obviously I think
while.
that was
This is
yeah,
like
that was much more serious, I think. But
yeah.
um,
I can't think of anything
I think-
NBA wise.
Well, gun on someone.
I can't think of anything NBA wise, but like we could speak to what other leagues are doing. Like
True.
the NBA or the NFL and MLB have obviously become much more strict on things like domestic violence ever since. I mean, we could go back to like the Ray Rice thing,
Yep.
where it was originally only 2 games and then it was 4. I mean, if you look at now, look at Trevor Bauer, basically had his career
Ended.
ended because of his incident. So like you could look at it, leagues are more strict on this type of stuff. There's an image to keep up with this sort of deal. It's never a good thing when you're waving a gun around on an Instagram live. That's never a good thing. So
And
yeah,
that's
I mean,
a dumb decision. If you're a pro athlete, and you got to think about, if you're like a star like that, right? You're going to get endorsement deals. How do you think that's going to affect your endorsement deals? Like companies aren't going to want to be associated with you if you're waving a gun around on Instagram. Like it's just not going to happen.
especially like the type of audience that he has. I mean, I'm sure John Morant has. I mean, obviously he has millions of followers probably on Instagram, and you know how many of those are younger kids that are going to see this and be like, oh,
Exactly.
well, John Morant pulls a gun out on his live. Why don't I do that? Or why don't I try to, get in fights like that? It's just like it's going to be a downhill spiral for him and all his, viewers
Exactly.
and whoever, seeks out for him.
He's setting an example. And, the Grizzlies have to make sure, and the league has to make sure that he's setting the right example, which he's not right now. So whatever they do to kind of correct him, hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Because this can't continue. Are we all good on that? Or is there anything else you guys want to add?
I'm all good.
All right. You guys want to move on to, as long as we're talking about basketball, you want to move on to March Madness?
yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
All right. So let's just go around. Do you guys want to do like predictions?
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, I guess I could go first if you want to go first, Paul.
Actually, before we get into predictions, can I just kind of give some background about, I mean, I'm sure you guys know how actually big the business of March Madness is.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Go ahead.
So for those who don't know, March Madness is a huge revenue source for the NCAA, to the point where the NCAA made $1.14 billion last year, and March Madness accounted for $1 billion. That's 90% of the total revenue for 2022 from the NCAA came from March Madness. So this, and not all of that goes straight to the organization. A lot of it goes back to the subsequent conferences and the teams in those conferences. But this is the largest by far source of money for the NCAA and for their schools that they have. So it's a huge deal, and they have right now, it's a huge media deal too. They have an $873 million media rights package for this tournament, for this 3-week tournament, and that's between CBS and Turner Broadcasting. So 90% of the 90% that I was just talking about immediately flows out to the member schools of the conferences, or so the NCAA claims. And it's the only system in place that assigns a monetary value based on athletic performance. And just to quote my source, that's from Investopedia.com. So big business, and a big deal in sports. So a lot of money gets betted on this tournament every year. and a lot of people pay attention to this, probably more so than any other NCAA event. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is very,
Yeah.
very, very true. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so keeping all of that in mind, do we want to do like some predictions?
Like,
Like
who we have winning
winning the
the
whole thing, or
Yeah,
like
sure.
We can start with that. Yeah.
I mean,
who-
there's no
who you have?
there's no bracket, but I would say probably here I watch the most college basketball. I actually like it more than the NBA. I've seen most of the top teams play a couple times. If you're looking at the 1 seeds, you're gonna have Houston, probably Kansas, Alabama, and either Purdue or UCLA. Kansas won last year. I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas wins again. Kansas is very good. Grady Dick is a great shooter. A couple transfers they have, McCullough. Wilson's obviously fantastic there. Any team from the Big 12, really. I think Texas is going to be very dangerous. Baylor's very good with their guard play.
You could argue the Big 12 is the best conference. You know, if I have the records of all the conferences up in front of me right now, if you look at it, you know, 5 teams in that conference have over 20 wins. You know, so TCU's 21-11, Baylor's 22-10, Kansas State's 23-9, Texas is 24-8, and Kansas is 26-6. And Kansas was the most successful in that conference. It was 13-5. So that would be a very good pick just to back that up.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking, I would say probably Kansas or Houston. Houston's
Yep.
very good as well. Houston in their conference tournament right now in Conference USA. They made the Elite Eight last year without 2 of their best players, and they're back this year. Very good defensively. The only thing that worries me about them is just their inability to score. But if I had to pick 2 teams, you're probably looking at Kansas and Houston for 2 teams I think that can go all the way.
Houston has a really good conference record. It's 17-1, and they're on a hot streak right now. They've won 12 in a row. Ben or Braden, you guys want to give your
I have
Oh.
Kansas win going back to back.
Kansas?
So teams I had was basically between Kansas and Houston, but since they both already kind of picked those teams and talked about them, probably another team I could see being very good in the tournament is probably like Alabama or I think Tennessee, but as well as a Purdue. I think Purdue could make a run because I know they made a pretty good run with Carson Edwards a couple years ago, and I think they have the team right now. What's their big guy's name?
Zach Edey.
Zach Edey.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, with him, he's got to be one of the most dominant college basketball players right now. So, yeah.
Okay. So for my pick, I'm having a hard time deciding if I'm going to be honest. I mean, the obvious choice is Houston, but I'll put one out there. You really can never count out Duke in the tournament. They're 24-8. They've won 7 in a row.
Hey, I'm a Duke fan, and you can count them out. You can
Yeah.
count them out.
Yeah.
You can
All right.
count them out. No, they're
There's-
good. No, listen,
I mean,
they're
they are
good.
They are behind Virginia and Miami in their.
But they're good. They're young. This Duke team doesn't have a kid who's going to be a lottery pick. If you're looking at Duke, they got a really talented big and Kyle Filipakowski. Derek Lively is going to be a very good defender for them. Jeremy Roach, a very good guard for them, and Tyrese Proctor, another very good guard coming on at the end of the year. But I mean, if Duke makes the second weekend, I would be happy as a Duke fan. But I do not see a national title in their future, if I'm going to be honest. So I'm
Okay.
counting them out.
All right.
Counting them out.
Okay.
All right. You know what? I'll take Alabama though. Alabama's especially.
Well, right now, they have, I guess, what you would say, second best odds to win it all.
Yep.
They do.
Very good offensively.
It's
very good.
Houston, number 1, Alabama 2, Kansas, and then Purdue and UCLA. Those are the top 5.
UCLA was another one that I that I had too.
They were.
Actually, yeah, well, because I'm looking at the I'm looking at all the conferences right now. Do you guys want to take? How about we do like underdogs, like someone who could surprise you and advance a couple rounds more than you thought, or even get to the point of being in the Final Four or the championship.
Yeah, I think a couple of the mid majors that are going to be really good. Oral Roberts. I don't know if you
Yep.
guys remember that
I remember
Max
that.
Abrams kid a couple of years ago.
He's
He's
still
back.
there too. Yep.
He's a senior, and they got a better roster this time around. So don't be surprised if they make the second weekend. Charleston's going to be very good. Another mid major. Probably. Oh, who the hell?
Or Robert.
Montana State. Montana State, I believe, won the Big Sky. Look out for them. The Big Sky is always usually good in the tournament. And then Florida Atlantic will be another mid-major to look out for. But I think a sleeper for me is probably going to be UConn. UConn, for a stretch of the year, was the best team in the country. They had about an 8 or 9 game stretch where they only won 2 games. But besides that, they've been really dominant. They're playing Marquette tonight. And I think they're going to beat Marquette in the Big East tournament. So they'll be like a 3 seed, but it's tough for even a 3 seed to make it. But I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, this year, guys. It's so wide open that we see like a 7, an 8, or a 9 seed make the Final Four. I don't think you're going to have all 4 1 seeds. I mean, that never happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if you only got like 1 seed in the Final Four. So I think it's very wide open.
Okay. So just to go back to your Oral Roberts point, they put up a hell of a performance. So they're 18-0 in conference, 30-4 overall, and they're around the hottest team in basketball right now. They've won 17 in a row. So that's ripping off a lot of wins. So they're definitely on a hot streak. For my sleeper. And they kind of surprised a lot of people last year, and they've ripped off a good chunk of wins recently. I'm going to take UVM. They're 22-10 overall, 14-2 in their conference, and they've ripped off 14 wins.
Wait, why do you keep saying ripped off wins?
It's just an expression.
Okay, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me, but
rattled off, whatever you want to use.
You could just say they won. They ripped off.
Whatever expression you want to use. I think UVM's hot right now. I think they're going to have more success than people think. People kind of downplayed them a little last year, and they made it pretty far. I don't remember specifically what round they got knocked out in, but that's my sleeper.
Wait, are you talking about the University of Vermont?
Yep, UVM.
They lost in the first round last year.
Yeah.
Did?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're further than that.
Were they like a 12 seed?
They're like a 13 seed. They're gonna be worse this year.
Yeah, they're probably gonna be a 15 seed.
Yeah.
They've got Nick Fiorillo.
Yeah, they got Lindsay's brother. Yeah.
They've won a lot of games. I don't know, man.
Because their conference is weak.
They
All
played
right.
a conference with UMaine, so that's
All right,
That says anything.
fair.
The good sleeper, big
Okay.
dog.
Okay.
I can't wait to see Paul's bracket, man. I can't wait to see.
I can't
that.
wait.
Yeah, I know.
No. Let me take another shot at. Let me take another shot at a sleeper pick.
Okay. Take another rip at it.
Let's see. I mean,
I do like UVM though, Paul. I do like UVM. I
already-
like how they play basketball.
all right. We kind of already mentioned UCLA as being one of the top teams, so I don't think you can really take them as a sleeper.
Yeah, they're probably gonna be a 1 seed.
They do have an injury to one of their guards though, who's out the rest of the tournament. So
How's Kentucky this year? They look pretty good on the record.
Kentucky is okay. They're gonna be led by some good guard play with Severe Wheeler, who's been there forever now. They got a couple young kids who haven't played well, but they're an older team. Most Kentucky teams are obviously, we know, have a lot of good freshmen, but this is not that type of team. They're probably gonna be looking at a 6, 7 seed. So I mean, if they make the second weekend, I wouldn't be surprised. So that's not a bad underdog pick.
All right, then that's what I'll take. My underdog pick. All right. So is there anything you guys want to talk about related to March Madness?
Well, I was gonna say who I think my sleeper pick is.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, Ben. My bad.
So my sleeper pick is gonna be Michigan because they got Hunter Dickinson still this year, and he had some big play. They were an 11 seed last year. I think they made a Final Four. Seems like they're always a team that's gonna compete for a Final Four, Elite Eight spot. So I'll take them as my sleeper pick, my underdog.
They're not gonna make the tournament either.
Michigan or Michigan State?
Michigan.
He meant Michigan, but Michigan's not making the tournament.
They
Yeah,
are.
they're 17-5, and they've lost 3 in a row.
Oh, because I'm looking at a source that projects them to be
They might be. I mean, they
play-in
might
team,
be in.
a 12 seed.
They might be in. They might be in, but I don't think they have the resume myself. But they might be in. But if they do make it, Hunter Dickinson will be tough to stop, and they always seem to go deep in the tournament. So, like, if they do get in, they'll probably somehow be in the Elite Eight, and that's just how they do it there. So, it's not a bad pick if they make it.
I got another sleeper pick, and this one's a little biased. I'm gonna say, and I know they're not ranked, but Northwestern, if they make the tournament, they're 21-10, 12-8 conference, and I'm a little biased. I'm kind of a Northwestern fan. Both my parents went to Northwestern, but yeah, that's my sleeper pick number 2 if they make the tournament. That's assuming they make the tournament.
Well, again, a source I'm looking at says Northwestern's predicted to be a 10 seed.
10 seed.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could be pretty good then for sure. So yeah, I'm gonna take that as my other sleeper pick. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about related to March Madness?
Can you let Braden go, or did Braden not?
He hasn't gone.
I'm gonna go with Indiana.
Oh, you haven't gone either. I'm sorry.
I like that. I love
Taking
that
on
pick.
Maryland tonight, right?
Yes, it is true.
Hopefully get a dub, and
That's gonna be a really good game. Those are two really. I do like Indiana as well. That's a solid pick. That's a really solid pick.
Indiana has the same record as Northwestern. They're tied for second in the Big Ten, 21-10, and they have the same in conference record. So
Yeah.
just to relate to where they are in the
Paul, I need you to watch some conference tournaments tonight and tomorrow. I need you to get up on your knowledge.
I will, man. I will. As much as
you better.
I'm also going to be watching the World Baseball Classic tonight. Actually, that's probably a good transition, unless we're not done talking about March Madness.
No, that's good, man. That's good.
Yeah,
Are we gonna watch the games next week, right? I mean, next week's the tournament. Let's do it.
Oh, I'll add one more sleeper team. One more, and then this is it. Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa.
They just got some shooters. They got some shooters.
All right. Okay. Do you guys want to transition into the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, actually, sorry, Hammy. What you just mentioned. You guys want to do a stream for one of the games next week? Like we can watch a game and stream it and kind of just give our thoughts on it.
Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah, that works. That works, buddy.
I mean, that won't probably be like an actual podcast episode, but we can have that, for clips for the socials and stuff. So that would be
okay, buddy.
It'd be good content,
It's okay, buddy.
All right. So World Baseball Classic. Where do we even want to start?
Favorites.
I don't know where you want to start.
Stay on the same topic of favorites.
Favorites, I guess.
So yeah. All right. Let's do favorites. So in terms of favorites, I mean, there's really 2 obvious, or maybe 3 obvious teams. One, Team USA, but I don't know they have the pitching depth.
Yeah, that's their only struggle. But I mean, those guys are all still major league guys, so
yeah, true.
Never really doubt that skill.
And maybe the best team ever assembled, the Dominican Republic. I mean, they're just absolutely disgusting.
Or Japan.
Those are your 2 obvious picks.
Or Japan.
What about Puerto Rico? Don't sleep on Puerto Rico, man. They finished second the last 2 World Baseball Classics, man. So don't sleep on them.
All right.
They did.
Yep. They lost to Team USA last.
But just like you look at the rosters, and it's kind of hard to ignore the sheer firepower that both the U.S. and the Dominican Republic have, and Japan to a certain extent. Obviously with Shohei and Matsutaka Yoshida and some of their other stars. So,
Of course, they'll bring up the Red Sox player.
no, I was just mentioning.
Have you seen Team Japan's like pitching?
No, I haven't actually.
I think
Whoa.
they're the favorites.
Team Japan.
Yes.
They've
That's-
played really well in group play so far.
Yeah, exactly.
They've played nobody, but like Shohei's been dominant. I mean, Shohei hit a home run on his knee, so like,
Shohei hit
Shohei
two
just
and-
doing Shohei things.
Don't they also have some dude who throws like 105 or something?
Yep.
And then another dude who's like looking to be like a top prospect in 2025 when I think he's able to play in the majors and MLB or something like that.
Uh-huh.
His contract is up then or something.
Wait, I don't mean to cut you guys off, but like the Bears just traded for DJ Moore and they traded the #1 overall pick.
Damn.
Wait, they traded for. I saw they traded the #1 pick. Who did they trade it for? It was
They
DJ.
got
Moore.
they got DJ Moore.
Wow. Wow.
So the Panthers are gonna draft Bryce Young then.
Okay, breaking news then, folks. So that's really interesting. I mean, I saw that the Bears had traded their pick, but I didn't know what they got for it.
They got 4
Moore-
draft picks too, and DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is going to complement Justin Fields really well. I think he's kind of been missing that #1 wide receiver, and I think DJ Moore could be that guy. DJ Moore
Yes,
hasn't.
I think he's a receiver one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
And he hasn't really had the quarterback to go along with him to complement him to really elevate him to being like in the category of the great wide receivers in the league right now. I think Justin Fields could get him to that status. Do you guys
Absolutely.
agree?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
I really like that trade, actually. Really, really like that trade.
Well, I honestly like it better
no.
for Carolina.
No, shoot.
What?
One of my friends called me and it cut off the audio on my recording.
Bro, why are
Oh,
people calling
no.
you?
I have to do a part 2 again.
Part 2.
All right, fine. You guys want to talk about that trade for a second while I just figure this out? Because I have to post the first episode now.
Well, we're gonna talk about it with no recording.
I don't know.
Why don't you just start another one, then post it after both of them after?
Because you have to post the one before.
Oh my god,
Dude, it's always something.
friends. It's always
Always something.
Hang
The
on.
Netherlands is 2-0. Ooh, okay.
yeah.
I put the wrong title.
Oh my,
Oh my
gosh.
god, no!
Hang on, I haven't published it yet. I can edit it once I publish it.
Okay. This Netherlands team, I haven't seen them play. They're not.
Xander Bogaerts. He's
Xander
been
Bogaerts. I wish the only time I had ever seen him in another uniform, but
I actually like their infield.
damn you, Heimblum.
Their infield's actually nice.
Are they?
Yeah, I like Didi. I like Xander. Profar, Jonathan.
Didi's on
Scoop.
that team.
Yeah,
Nice.
Didi.
I saw Didi was like an extreme pull hitter the other day. I saw like a spray chart and it was ridiculous. He didn't have like one homer that went out to the opposite field at all.
Probably also. Is it who? Didi Gregorius?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you watch his swing, he's a extreme pull hitter.
Yeah.
Like just based off like his stance. I mean, and he seems like he opens up whenever he swings.
You know what I think is pretty cool is Jonas Cespedes is playing for Cuba, right?
He is?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
haven't heard in a
Seeing-
long time.
Playing baseball again, dude.
Wow. He was really good for a while and
He
then
was really fun to watch play. He was
I-
really fun to watch play
Had an
defensively.
absolute cannon.
I'll never forget when he threw. I think it was
That's
at
so much
Angel
fun.
Stadium. He like basically threw it from the wall to like home plate on no hops, and it was just
Yes.
like a
The dude was like
bullet.
already rounding third. That's crazy.
I have not heard that name in a long time.
He played for the Red Sox for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I know. That's when he started to be bad. Okay, I have the audio ready. to go.
He's
You
very
guys
good
wanna-
with like the Mets and the A's. Remember
Yeah, he
that?
won 2 home run derbies in a row.
You guys want to start part 2?
Yes.
All right.
Part 2.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Three Bros and a Buddy, episode 4, part 2. Sorry, we got cut off. One of my friends called me and it interrupted the audio and kind of ended it. I don't know what happened. Maybe my phone glitched. I don't know. But right as that happened, we were breaking the news that the Bears traded their number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers for DJ Moore and what was a couple of draft picks, right?
4 draft picks. Yeah, 4 draft picks.
4 draft picks. So, who do you think won that trade? Who do you guys think won that trade?
The Bears.
Yeah, the Bears.
Yeah,
Because I mean, they need receivers. So,
yeah, they need receivers and they have more options now, to go and develop their team because obviously they're kind of a ways away from being a championship contender, and now they have the opportunity to, obviously pick up a wide receiver 1, which is maybe what they needed the most, and then also go out and get some areas that they need to improve on through the rest of those draft picks. So very smart trade by the Bears. Honestly, if I was the Panthers, I would want a little more than the number 1 pick, just to, give up all that they did. But, that suggests that they're going to draft Bryce Young with their quarterback situation as it is right now.
Well, I should have said that because I don't know if Bryce Young's the for surefire number 1 overall pick. I mean, if you look at it, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis. I mean, there's 3 guys there.
Yeah.
Frank Reich's a quarterback guru, so like, I don't think it matters really. I think that they're good. They're going to do just fine. But I think we're going to say the Bears won this trade. But I don't think it's a bad. I think it's a great move still by Carolina. You need a
Yeah.
franchise quarterback, and I think.
I mean, they have the defense. They just don't have any quarterback play lately.
Yeah, totally. And I think you got a really solid coach, in Frank Reich. So I think it's going to work out fine
Trade
for them.
Sam Darnold at this point, after you draft, do you trade Sam Darnold? I would imagine yes.
I don't know
Baker.
if you could. I don't know if you can get anything of value for Darnold at this point. I think he's a fine. He's not going to be a starter anywhere.
Yeah,
Keep him as a backup.
yeah, you could keep him as a backup, and if you're
Or you have Matt Corral, the kid from Ole Miss that got hurt last year, so you could keep him. But we'll see what
True.
they do with Darnold.
True. Yeah, they do have Matt Corral. I forgot they drafted him last year. So, I mean, they could draft Bryce or C.J. Stroud, but they don't necessarily have to. But they don't really need anybody on defense. And wasn't the number 1 overall pick predicted to be a defensive player?
Yep.
It was the kid from Georgia, right? I forget his name.
It was either Will Anderson from Bama or the Carter kid from Georgia.
Yeah,
So
Carter.
he just got in trouble himself. So
Yeah.
Right.
He was part of a speeding accident
Yeah.
that killed 2 people.
Right. All right. So, personally, I think the Bears won that trade. I'm really happy to see that they got what they did, just as a Bears fan. But that's breaking news. Anyway, so that totally interrupted our conversation of the World Baseball Classic. So, who do you guys have winning the whole thing overall?
Who wants to go first? Paul, how about you go first so
Yeah,
you don't
all right.
interrupt us after you say yours?
All right, I'll go first. I mean, I just think the obvious choice is the Dominican Republic. Their lineup is ridiculous, and their pitching rotation is better than probably anybody else's.
Nope.
Particularly the pitching rotation is why I would argue that. Yeah, I just don't see anyone beating them in a final. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think the favorites have to be Japan.
Japan? Okay.
Yep.
Wanna-
I mean, just their
I'm
pitching.
going to go with I'm gonna go with Team USA. Why not?
All right. Let's hear
Why
why.
not? I mean, just I guess represent, bro. That's the team I want to win, so why not
Right.
pick them to win?
Right. But taking your fandom out of it objectively, who do you think is going to win?
Team USA, bro. I just fucking said that.
But
What? Like what?
just said because, you were a
Because
fan
I pick them, like that's all I have to say, dude. What?
All right.
I think their offense is too fucking good.
Fair enough.
Their lineup's too stacked.
Fair enough.
And
Ben,
they still got professional pitchers, like baseball players. Like
yeah, but they're
you can
not.
never count those guys out.
Their pitching depth isn't as good as some of the other teams, the DR and maybe Japan.
Well,
Speaking
if
of
they put up more runs,
Ben, do you want to
I will.
elaborate a little bit on your Japan pick?
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick Team Japan just based off their pitching staff. I mean, first of all, you have Shohei Otani, and then you have obviously I think Shohei Otani is probably the best player in baseball. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that at length.
So like having him on your team is just an advantage in that. But then they also have Kodai Senga, the new pitcher for the Mets, and he can top 100. He has that ghost pitch that the fork pitch or whatever they call it that basically disappears. Yeah, or they call it a ghost pitch or something. But then you also have like a vet in Yu Darvish. Obviously, Yu Darvish has played in big stages in his career. He's always been one of the better pitchers in MLB. Yep. But then you also have Roki Sasaki. He threw a pitch 105 miles per hour. I don't know if you've all seen that yet, but and then also last year he threw a perfect game as a 20-year-old.
Wow. Okay.
And,
so
yeah.
And then
their ace right now, his name is Yoshinobu Yamato or something. He tops 100 miles per hour. He has one of the best splitters probably in the World Baseball Classic. And I mean, they just have starting pitching, and they also have the offense.
Maybe Team Japan has the best starting pitching. I wasn't aware of the 105 mile an hour thrower.
21-year-old.
Yeah, I just wasn't aware of how deep they were. Wow, that's surprising. So,
and then also, if you've seen like their play so far, who they just beat? Well. They just beat up on, was it Korea? They beat like 13-4.
Yeah, they beat China. Was it China that they played too?
Done really well.
I'm pretty sure.
They played China. I think they beat them 8-3.
Yeah, it was like 8-1, something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, in their pool, obviously they're the best team in their pool, but I think teams like, obviously Team USA's lineup stacked, Dominican Republic stacked, team like Puerto Rico, they've been in the big game, but I don't know. For me, the Japan pitching staff just puts them over the hump.
I mean, that makes sense. You could say it's a toss up between them and the DR for who has the best pitching staff for sure.
Yeah.
Japan maybe, almost has the lead, after hearing about that depth.
Yeah.
All right, Hammy, we haven't heard your pick yet.
It's pretty interesting. I know we had like quite a few guys opt out for the DR and Team USA, but I'm going to take the DR. I think they got enough depth still. Pitching wise, I agree with Ben. I think Japan is better. I just looked at the DR and not a lot of like starters, like really like solid starters that I love. But I'm going to take the DR still. I think their bats are going to be too much to handle for Japan. And I think, you're looking at your top four probably being USA, the DR, Puerto Rico, and Japan. A sleeper for me would probably be Team Mexico. Really like their roster.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at the DR, too much depth. And I think probably second, just because they got some good bats, is probably Team USA. But pitching wise, I think once they get out of the group stage, because their group is pretty easy. They play what? They play Great Britain tomorrow. You could throw one of us on the mound and they would probably win that game. So like, they should be fine there. But once they play like Puerto Rico and the DR. I'm really concerned once you get late into games against them. How are they going to pitch against those lineups? So I'm going to take the DR.
All right, I would agree. I would say I would agree with all of that. So I think the World Baseball Classic, I put this out in a tweet earlier today, but I think the World Baseball Classic in general is really, really, really good for the game of baseball because, you get exposure to a multitude of different fan bases, more so than you do with the MLB and, with other professional leagues like the Nippon Professional Baseball League in Japan. So, it's kind of like the Olympics, where it brings everyone from different countries together and you just get more exposure for the game, and it's really good for growth for the game. You get fans from countries that may not necessarily, tune into baseball a lot that are, now going to tune into baseball for this. So I think the Baseball Classic is a very positive thing for the sport overall. You guys kind of tend to agree with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to watch the tournament, and we'll see obviously who comes out on top. And we could even do a live stream of one of those games if we wanted to. Like if the USA makes it far, like semifinals or to the championship, then we could do a live stream of that game. If they get to that point, would you guys be down for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So hopefully you guys will have that to listen, or hopefully you listeners will have that to look forward to a couple weeks. So are we all good on the World Baseball Classic? I'm going to move on to NFL free agency.
Yeah.
All right. So our last topic for the day is NFL free agency. 2 big contracts signed this week, Derek Carr and Daniel Jones. Derek Carr was 4 years, $150 million, and Daniel Jones was 4 years, $160 million. So, you guys like these contracts? Daniel Jones signed with the Giants. Derek Carr signed with the Saints. I kind of wasn't expecting the Saints as a landing place for Derek Carr. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, I guess I tend to agree with that, but I think I don't know who was watching, but they brought up a good point that like the Jets are obviously heavily interested in Aaron Rodgers and think that they're going to get him. So Carr probably wasn't likely going to end up there. Tampa didn't want him, so like his options were limited. I think from the standpoint of the Saints, the Saints are in salary cap hell. Like I don't know what they're doing. Like they're again like $50 million in the hole. Like they have to probably cut either Davenport and or Cam Jordan. You're gonna have to cut some defenders.
It's like the Mets of the NFL, except they're not like one of the better teams right now.
Well, yeah. Plus, there's a salary cap in the NFL. So like Carr. I mean, I think it makes them because that division's gonna be terrible still. I think that probably makes them the team to beat in that division because I think Derek Carr, when he's at his best, is a top 12 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. He's paid number 10.
Right.
Largest contract.
He actually took a pay cut, really, if you look at his contract in Las Vegas. But like, I think it's going to be fine. But I don't get it. I think the Saints needed to kind of strip down and rebuild. And the Daniel Jones contract is terrible. $39 million basically for Daniel Jones a year. That's awful.
It's $40 million a year with a $36 million signing bonus.
Yeah, they signed up to not win a Super Bowl for 4 years.
It's 82.
Yeah.
It's $82 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
out of the 160.
Yeah,
and just for reference, Carr's was $100 million guaranteed out of the 150.
Yeah, they signed up not to win a Super Bowl, so
I
have
would-
fun with that, Giants fans.
I would kind of have these contracts as like very similar, like obviously same amount of years and only what was it, 10 million apart. So what would you guys say like for who's the better of the two or who deserved the 10 million extra?
The better out of Derek Carr and Dan Jones?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious Derek Carr.
I would tend to agree. I was kind of surprised that Daniel Jones got 160 million.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably just because the type of season they had last year, I don't think anyone was expecting them to be a playoff team, let alone win a playoff game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess props to him. But, at the
Giants
same time,
I
he's
don't
not
know if he's worth that
he's not
much.
that much for 4 years.
It's a lot of money.
I don't know.
It is a lot of money. The Giants obviously think they have their franchise quarterback, but they haven't, other than that one playoff game, they haven't won a lot since he got there. So, hopefully hopefully for them, their bet pays off.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't assign him to that much money, specifically the average salary. If you're going to do that in terms of the money, maybe I would have put more in the signing bonus and then, got the average salary down a little. Or, they're guaranteed. They're only guaranteeing him half, basically, at $82 million. So, if something happens, he gets hurt, or they decide to back out or whatever, $82 million is half of their investment. So they'll have a good portion of their investment protected. And for Derek Carr, it's 2/3. So in terms of that, the Giants did better in protecting their investment. Do we like both of these contracts? Do we dislike both of them, or do we like one better than the other?
I mean, it's kind of the going rate for quarterbacks. I mean, I'm really concerned, and I think we could also, because Lamar just got his non-exclusive franchise tag as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Deshaun Watson, obviously, his mega deal, we were all kind of worried, or I know a lot of general managers and fans were worried. Was that going to set the market? Was that going to change how we pay quarterbacks? Because that was a mega deal, like guaranteed, like he did not deserve that amount of money, obviously, because of his off the field problems, but also because he hasn't performed well on the field as of late. But Daniel Jones for 39-40 a year is if that's the going rate. I don't know what the Patriots are going to do with Mac Jones, but like that sort of thing it's just too much money. Carr, I think, makes sense. Him being paid like a top 10 quarterback's not a huge problem to me. But the Giants were in a bad situation because the Giants, like they wanted some stability at that position. It's a position they haven't had stability since Eli Manning retired. So I get it from the Mara standpoint, the Mara family obviously owning the team. I mean, I don't love it, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But I would have moved off of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had a good year, and he still only threw 15 touchdown passes. How much can he get better? I think he kind of hit his ceiling last year. We saw the best we can out of Daniel Jones. So, I mean, we'll see. But I think they made the wrong move. And I do like that they franchise tagged Saquon. Running backs don't last long in this league. So to get the most out of him, but I think after this year, Saquon's probably gone, and you look at a very different Daniel Jones without Saquon Barkley and that stable running back who's their workhorse. So I think the Giants are in trouble, and I think they're probably going to regress. And also, I want to add, before I let somebody else go, they don't have a lot of offensive weapons as it is. So him having this big deal takes away their ability to sign those type of guys or trade for those type of guys.
Fair take. I mean, who's their wide receiver one? Kenny Galladay?
I couldn't tell you. Isaiah Hodgins, basically. Kenny Galladay got released and sucks. So
yeah, I mean, he got released. I didn't know that. I mean, I know he only had one touchdown.
Isaiah Hodgins for a good portion of the year. Isaiah Hodgins, mind you, who got cut in training camp, was their number one receiver. So, yeah.
Yeah, so they are in a bit of trouble. You take away Saquon from that offense. I don't know
They're not
how.
the same team.
Yeah, they're not the same team without Saquon. Just period. So yeah, I agree with you that signing Daniel Jones this amount of money and giving yourself kind of really not a lot of wiggle room to be able to sign other players offensively kind of hurts your franchise a little bit, And I don't think, I don't think it wasn't too smart, but I could understand from what you were talking about, Hammy, with stability. I would understand why they want that. Because really every franchise kind of looks for that quarterback that they can be stable with for the next 5, 10 plus years. So yeah, are we good? Is that kind of it for that topic, or do you guys have anything else to add?
I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like
good.
Hammy kind of covered all of it.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you folks for listening to episode 4 of Three Bros and a Buddy. Sorry it got cut up into 2 parts. I was not expecting that. And hopefully the audio came out okay, because I really don't know yet. Imagine we did all this and there was just none. You couldn't hear any of you guys the whole time. That would be
Then we
hilarious.
fight you. We'd all fight you. We
That would
jump
be
you.
hilarious. So if that happens, we'll just upload the audio
Live
from the
stream.
YouTube to Anchor somehow.
Can you can upload video onto Spotify, right?
onto Spotify?
Yes, I'm pretty sure you can now, right? Because I know like Joe Rogan has like video, or can you not do that? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I didn't.
We'll
I'm
have
not
to
sure
look
you
into
can.
that. When I post the audio on Anchor, it automatically uploads to Spotify, and that's how we usually do it.
Okay.
But if we need to work around that for this week, we can. But we'll figure that all out. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate.
Oh, maybe you can. Joe Rogan does have a.
It's ignorant. And
He does.
Yeah, he does have a video on
Yeah.
Spotify.
So if we need to, we can do that.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah,
this
man.
is Three Bros and a Buddy signing off. Thank you guys.
Hey, you.
Thank you guys.
man.
Have a good one.
Yes, yeah. All right, you good?
I'm your host.
Audio.
What?
Your audio was good. All right, I'm end of the broadcast. See you, everyone.
See ya.